So if you could describe art meets culture, how would you say that in your own words?
It's a series of events. So initially the plan was to work in the music industry. I left uni, aka dropped out in 2008, wanting to either become a music video director or someone in the music industry, obviously.
So when brands do try to tap into culture, what are the most common mistakes that you see?
Picking people who don't align, not understanding the stories or not understanding the culture as well. When they don't understand the culture, you can see it, it's obvious. And it's like, they usually pick the same talents more time to be safe. Sometimes that's an indicator, even though it's great to pick certain talents, but they pick the same talents because they don't want to go dive in and see what other communities can we tap in.
Let's talk about the DSYF campaign.
Yeah.
And if I can remember correctly, it stands for Don't
Stop Your Future.
Don't Stop Your Future.
Initially meant Don't Stab Your Future, but I think the shift was, we wanted to think about a global appeal at the time because, there's gun violence, there's so many other violence in the world. So it's like, how do we, don't stop your future across the board?
And so what do brands need to unlearn if they want to work with communities authentically?
Don't be distant with the communities. Do you know what I mean? Be involved. So being a part of the communities rather than, we just want to work with this community because it helps our quota. Do you know what I mean? I think that's where they, miss the step and it just looks inauthentic.
Hi Black Circle family and welcome back to another episode, and today I'm joined by Ade Sanusi. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Ade, you are a cultural strategist, you are a creative consultant and founder of Arts Meets Culture. So with every story I always like to begin at the origins. So if you could describe Art Meets Culture and the vision behind it, how would you say that in your own words?
I don't want to say it was an accident, but it's a series of events. So initially the plan was to work in the music industry. I left uni, aka dropped out in 2008, wanting to either become a music video director or someone in the music industry. Obviously, I was enamored by all the 90s.
Hype Williams.
All Hype Williams.
Yep.
Two names we can't even name right now in Russell Simmons and Puff Daddy. Even though what they've done today is whatever and wrong, but how they set the tone in terms of where the music industry was going is what I wanted to, follow. So I was lucky enough to, pull off an internship at Universal Music, which was great. Worked there for a year, but then I progressed to working for a music label called Myish Music, and that was working with one of my mentors, Reggie. Working with artists like Princess Naya, Julian Marley, who else did we work with? Shaka. Worked there for 4 years, learnt my trade, but I kind of hit the ceiling with, working in the music industry and certain roles. And I wanted to kind of expand into various things where I thought the music industry or the entertainment industry was moving to. And then one of my mentors, Dee Armstrong, was like, you need to come to, some art events, come check it out. He sent me a documentary by Mr. Brainwash and Banksy, Exit Through the Gift Shop.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I'd see that exhibit.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, loved the exhibitions that was portrayed in it, loved the stories. And I was like, this is interesting, like artists and brands and stories, like so much things were happening in my mind at the time. Then we went to a Mr. Brainwash exhibition, and that Mr. Brainwash exhibition kind of just exposed me to what the art industry was in terms of grand art, loads of people, him building a massive audience, working alongside brands, him doing like cover art for Rick Ross, like so many different things. And I was like, this is the space I want to be in, but I don't want to be in it from a traditional art person exhibition. And that's, I wanted to bring some entertainment and some value to it. So that's how we kicked off the brand Art Meets Music at the time, before we shifted it to become Art Meets Culture years down the line. And that was to focus on music artists and artists at the same time. And from there, it just kind of just progressed into many different things and beautiful things.
It's just you've kind of made me feel a bit nostalgic when talking about Mr. Brainwash, yeah. Mr. Brainwash, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I remember going to see that body of work. Okay, so you were saying kind of like there was a glass ceiling for you.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
In terms of in the music industry.
Yeah, and just kind of like those challenges where you
I
felt
think, I don't know, it was my gut feeling then that artists and talent were going to progress in a way where they didn't really need a label. They were cultivating audiences themselves. And I was thinking, okay, cool. If you are, when Instagram was in its beginning stages, getting 5,000 followers, when 5,000 followers was great, it was like, okay, we can shift things and pitch to brands and stuff like that. And luckily at the time, at Myish, I managed to do a partnership with Coca-Cola in the 2012 Olympics. So there was windows into what the industry was going to become. As you can see, it's become, amazing now in terms of influencers, art talent, working with major brands. So I was like, I want to step into this stage, reading books like The Tanning of America by Steve Stout, seeing how he did partnerships with Nas and Hennessy, Pusha T and McDonald's. So I was just like, something's shifting in there. And I think music and where I was at the time didn't feel like it was shifting with me. So I wanted to kind of put myself in various positions. So that's then took me to working for the likes of Complex Media, working for the likes of Haddon PR, and being in those conversations and seeing how things work before I started to dive in it by myself.
And you mentioned Complex Media. You've worked across some of these massive brands. Relentless is another one. So how did those experiences teach you about culture and how it gets handled behind the scenes?
Working at Complex was an interesting one because, how can I put it? I was ready, but I wasn't ready in terms of, I have the passion for it, but in terms of the structure for it, I got to learn how to structure things just a little bit more better, how they pitch, how they're very careful in terms of who they work with, what cultural person that they want to align themselves with to actually make the brand actually succeed. So for me, it was just learning from Complex, then shifting to Haddon PR. It just allowed me to nurture those skills, whether some of them were successful or not. It just allowed me to nurture those skills in terms of building relationships, understanding who the right people in the scenes were, why a brand aligns with a talent for certain reasons. Some people get free clothes and that's all they get, and then some people get invested in. So finding out what those pockets are, has taught me how to implement into the stuff that I do on a day-to-day now.
And kind of to dig in a little bit further about culture as strategy, cultural strategist, right? It's a term that we've all heard.
Yeah.
A lot of people use it, but what does it actually mean to you?
Cultural strategist to me, means there's a responsibility to align things the right way. You don't want to just hop on something because it's trendy. You have to have like a cultural responsibility to, make sure things align. Like when I do my brand partnerships and it's about a certain subject, I make sure there's some great research in there, good stats that, align with why we should work with this person and, looking at a trajectory of certain things, not just hopping on things as trends, because I've, worked with people in the past who just wants to hop on the trend side of things and then it looks irresponsible and then they're getting backlash online. So really understanding that and then making sure that the right communities are aligned with it as well. So really building a, ecosystem that actually makes sense for, the brand or whatever I'm a part of at the time.
I want to bring up an example that I saw on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've seen it, but there is an alcohol brand and they have tried to position the grills as something that you can break off your bottle cap lid with
really?
Wearing the grills.
It's crazy.
And somebody reposted it with just the title interesting.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying about hopping on a trend without really understanding, I felt like that was a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And just this beer company, alcohol company, just jumping on this culture, and they have no sense of like where it came from, or maybe they do, but they haven't given credit.
Yeah,
and I guess that we can talk about appropriating culture.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to get caught up in those things. And I don't know who the beer company is, but it's just like, would you associate beer with grill culture? No. You know what I mean? It's more of a fashion statement thing. These are statement pieces that people tell their stories and, it's expand to many different things now, but there's a long history within it that it didn't require a beer to open up the can. I don't think that's
Exactly. It was
obvious.
just a very sanitized version of what we know grills to be. It was just, I was just so kind of not gobsmacked because I'm so used to brands doing this, but it was just this blatant sanitization of. I'll forward it to you.
Follow forward it. I do also sometimes think they do stuff like that on purpose, because it's all marketing at the same time. People complain about, oh, this, a beer now. Then they'll apologize. Okay, cool. We're trying to. It's like there's so many layers to it.
It's rage baiting, is it?
Yeah.
Which is like a new kind of technique to use when you're dancing, which is frustrating. But so I think leading on from that, that's a great segue for this next question. So when brands do try to tap into culture, what are the most common mistakes that you see?
Picking people who don't align, not understanding the stories, or not understanding the culture as well. When they don't understand the culture, you can see it, it's obvious. And it's like they usually pick the same talents more time to be safe. Sometimes that's an indicator, even though it's great to pick certain talents, but they pick the same talents because they don't want to go dive in and see what other communities can we tap in to. Do you know what I mean? And that usually speaks to the short-term thinking of a brand. If there's a long-term thinking, they'll be like, you know what, we're working with this artist here or this talent here. Okay, who's the next one? What do we need to invest in to actually nurture that and build out these micro fans as well at the same time? And I think they forget that, and you just see certain things. So they think working with the major talent is easy, tick box done, but it's how do you do the long-term thinking, the long-term planning is a big mistake that I usually see a lot of brands do. Because when you have conversations with them and you ask them about certain things, it's like clearly they don't know. They're just, cherry picking from the tree.
Do you think it's a bit of like a cookie cutter, one size fits all type of formula that they're using?
Yeah, because they're trying to keep their jobs, I assume. Anyway, they're trying to keep their jobs. They don't want to take risks, but you usually find the ones who are in, these great positions taking those risks to say, you know what, let's give a chance on her, because at the end of the day, something's going to yield a result. You got to kind of hedge your bets in certain aspects, but also, make sure you tick the boxes that saves your job at the same time, but also be innovative, which is very rare to see.
Yes, and I mean, in the creative environment, like innovation really is the thing that drives forward culture.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So let's talk about the DSYF campaign.
Yeah.
And if I can remember correctly, it stands for Don't
Stop Your Future.
Don't Stop Your Future.
Initially meant Don't Stab Your Future, but I think the shift was, we wanted to think about a global appeal at the time, because, there's gun violence, there's so many other violence in the world. So it's like, how do we, don't stop your future across the board?
And so that campaign was with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
So kind of what's possible when the right strategy meets the right story?
I mean, what's possible, given the example is, change. Working there was a very interesting space because, when I was called in to work on the brand, the goal was to, how do we not make Idris the forefront too much on the brands? And the goal for me there was to we need to shift into community more than Idris, and use Idris as a tool occasionally, because every time he would repost, then engagement will go crazy. But how do we tap into the communities just a little bit better from, who are the charities doing the same things who align with us, who are the other brands that align with us, who is the other talent that align with us? And those were the key things, that helped me, push that a little bit further in terms of message. And, the success in that was, I was lucky enough through that year campaign that I worked with was getting, the government to stop sales of zombie knives, even though it's still a bit rampant right now. But you see, by pushing those things and connecting with certain communities, you then put a different perspective in kids' heads. Now they want to be on workshops that we've provided for them and stuff like that. So yeah, many things, shifted it, and, stopping ban of zombie knives and actually inspiring kids were, the results of that.
Such an important body of work. And so you get the call that, okay, you're going to be working alongside Idris on this campaign. How do you prepare for such a big project?
You just got to prepare it with confidence, and, obviously it's a huge, subject, knife crime, and stopping that. You just got to find ways where it's not too preachy, because usually, like, me as a consumer when I was younger, it's just like someone's just preaching, whatever. But I think when you showcase opportunity, you kind of have to find those points. Okay, where are the opportunity points for people to get involved, for people to speak, for people to be on the platform, take part in the platform. We have to try to find those pockets to make it a little bit more interesting for people to actually just get involved without sounding, hey, we want to stop knives. How do we get people involved, and allowing them to thrive in a space, on a platform rather, to change their future.
Again, I said it's such an important body of work, and you guys executed it brilliantly.
It was a good time. Yeah.
I want to dive a bit more into building art meets culture.
Yeah.
So how is AMC different from like your typical agency model?
I mean, comparing it to like other traditional agencies, one, the team's more on a freelance basis. So we're not just heavy into like having an office and everything like that. Everybody kind of does their own thing. But as an art agency, the focus is, building culture through the work that we do. So having events on that people can actually get involved with. So we have our exhibitions that we hosted throughout the years to allow emerging artists to come on, exhibit work, but also work with brands at the same time, with the brands who want to get involved. Our State of the Art series, which is our talk series where we bring industry professionals in to, come in and talk, give artists advice and explain their stories on how to actually get involved. But we don't only focus on us trying to get a brand to work with us or do a program or anything like that. We try and figure out what are the vehicles that are going to work for us. The one's going to make us money, but to allow other people to get involved. So we have our community arm, which is Art Meets Culture Art Club. That pulls, anybody who wants to get involved in the art industry and allows them to get skills-based focus. Then we have our events, which I mentioned before. Then we have our consultancy where we work with artists one-on-one, or if it's to help them with exhibitions or partnerships or strategy, we deal with that. And then we have our media side where we, produce a lot of content. So we have different strands in there, plus our brand partnership arm where we work with different brands, but it's not focused on, oh, let's build a campaign or let's do that. It's like we have different hubs where brands get involved and talent gets involved.
And going back to events, I believe that you have something coming up in Somerset House. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the one that passed. We did we launched our first physical AMC Art Club event, and that was just to focus on how people, sell themselves a little bit better. It was with the founder of the Sit Down, Tope.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yes, who's an incredible human. He executed an amazing workshop with us, and that was kind of the start, just to see how we can nurture our community, because we've got loads of people globally, but it's just like, how do we support them at certain stages? We can do things at a high standards, from our exhibitions and partnerships, but we still trying to nurture the grassroots side of things on our side.
Okay, so how do you balance commerce, creativity, and community, especially when brands have their own agendas?
We keep it authentic in terms of the content that we produce, who we have involved in our work. It's not elitist. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing, that I don't, keep a hold in terms of the brand. When brands do want to get involved, we definitely hold an integrity in terms of how we work. I always work at a high standard, so I make sure that's implemented in that, and we don't work with brands who just want to jump on our wave. Many brands do, and they say, oh, we want to work with you. I'm like, okay, why does it align? Like, how does it work for us? Do you know what I mean, in that sense? But lucky enough, we haven't found too much of that. All the brands that we want to work with are aligned with us. They speak to our audience, we speak to their audience, and there's different pockets that we actually are involved with various brands. So the balance is cool. Lucky enough, we haven't heavily had that brand who's forced us into a corner. I think when we find that and they're asking us to do certain things, I think that's going to be a decision we'll have to make in terms of, we won't work with you because of X, Y, Z. So yeah, that's how we usually balance it all out.
Yeah, I think ultimately it sounds like there's like integrity behind the brands that you align yourself with, which
Exactly.
is, I don't know if all media agencies can say that about
No,
themselves. They really can't,
no. I mean, you definitely see it in the work, and I think people, your fans will expose that fast for you. They'll be like, okay, why are you doing this? Like when it's during COVID actually, what was it? Yeah, COVID time, and then we couldn't do events, but we were posting work, and then we reposted some NFT style bits or this 3D work, even though I'm a fan of certain pieces. But as we were posting it, someone DM'd me, it was just like, oh, what, you're just going to be posting NFT artists now? Like, what happened to us visual artists? I'm like, I'm posting all art, but this is a new space that we're just reposting and giving a light to these creators. But I think people saw us as a visual only painters, sculptors, that sort of thing. But as soon as we start introducing that, NFT work, people were just like, oh, are they becoming, or are they going trendy, or are we leading? So we found a balance between it. There's some people we post that still are in the NFT space. There's some that we don't. But yeah, we just made a quicker shift in that side of things, just to explain and showcase to them that we still give value to, all arts at the same time.
So that leads me on to asking about AI.
Yeah.
The question of AI.
Yeah.
Where does that sit?
I think it sits in a way where it's an assister, at the same time. I think AI can be used in various forms. I mean, if we're talking day-to-day work, I think it's phenomenal in terms of how it organizes people a little bit better. It takes the pressure off of certain things, helps you with copy in terms of you're doing some social media content. But it's scary in the sense of what's happening in video, that video AI with all these AI influencers. It's like, it looks almost great, but you can still see the AI within it, but it's going to perfect itself eventually, which
Fingers
is this, yeah. Once it perfects itself, then that's the scary part. But it's how do you, I mean, what I like to do is make sure we do a lot of real life things, events and stuff like that. So it's not all the way digital, but at the same time, we still use it, for certain ideations. When I'm doing pictures, I'll use Sora to, illustrate certain things that I want to produce, but it's all a part of that balance. We got to find the fine-tuned balance between it, or rather than being scared of it, what's the balance of the Force Star Wars? What's the balance of it all to, make it work for you? But I don't use it as in fear. I use it as something that, it's going to help, push what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I asked that is because you was mentioning, that some of your audience got a little bit nervous that they were being pushed out of the space with NFTs.
Yeah.
And so it was just what that response might look like when AI is a bit more predominant.
Yeah, it's already here.
Yeah.
And I think because it's already here, it's just how do you respond to it? And I think it's how do you respond, not react. If you react to it out of fear, that's when it becomes the war against machines type thing. But if you respond to it, it's okay, cool, how do I use this? How do I, we all got iPhones. That's been AI for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Technology is always going to evolve, but it's how do you not let it be the thing you lean on too heavily where you can't do anything and you don't, expand as a human being. But at the same time, using it as a tool to help you push a little bit further, because it's helping a lot of artists that I know, put it that way, just to create neat things. So it's just like, either get on the train or you don't get on it and be a part of a rebellion that doesn't want to be a part of it, or just allow it to shift you in the spaces that you need to be a little bit faster.
And, the same conversations would have been taking place when we had the internet being introduced. So it's all an evolution of tech. And like you said, we can approach it with fear, or we could approach it with a level of understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does it actually take to build something that lasts in this industry without diluting your values? And I think we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but let's maybe delve into like the building and longevity.
So community is one that allows people to last. Like 2014, was when we started, and Instagram was very photo heavy. So we didn't really think about, oh, we're nurturing a community. Everything was just physical events, and there was a focus on just making money and then going, bringing artists in, making money and going. But when COVID hit, a lot of brands died out and a lot of brands grew, and the ones that stayed was the ones who were focused on community. From that point onward, we were on apps like Clubhouse, if you remember. So we were on there talking to everybody on a global level, from Nigeria, South Africa, Dubai, New York, and it was just like we just had this big community of artists, big community of collectors, all talking amongst each other, but everybody was supporting each other. So from that point on, the world decides to open up, and I read a book called Oversubscribed, and that was focusing on how do you build out those super fans, because it's the super fans that will ride for you, fight for you in the comments, buy your product year on, year out. And you see it, let's talk about like 90s R&B. Like why does Drew Hill or a John B still have concerts now? Is because they have the dedicated super fans who went to concerts, bought merch, was a part of a moment, and they've been riding with him, since up until like now. So it's like, how do we build those moments from this point? So with the 1,000 fans that we're trying to build, who are going to be, more than 1,000 fans, but if we're building like 1,000 fans, we want to make sure that each one is spending at least £100 a year on you. So what does that look like? That looks like, oh, we've got to do an event at £20, or we got to sell merch at £20, or it might be an ebook at £20, or it might be a workshop at £20. So you just do those things, and everybody spent £100 on you, but 1,000 people, then that's a nice salary for a year, for you. So it's just like, that's how brands last. And with these 1,000 fans, how do you create these moments with them? How do you make sure that they feel a little bit more exclusive? So it's just that constant nurturing. It's like a restaurant. It's like, why do you go to XYZ restaurant? Great customer service, food wasn't great, they gave me this. It's like so many things. So you got to really have a customer service play when building a brand and making sure people are part of your world at the same time.
That's a lot of food for thought. As somebody who is also trying to build up a brand, and I think that'll be some really valuable advice to people listening. And talking of advice, what would you give to young Black creatives who feel unseen by the industry?
A rebellious take.
Go for it.
Is it a swearing podcast?
Yeah.
Really, truly, I've always been a person who I just wanted to, if I'm knocking on the door several times, I'll knock 3 times and you're not letting me in, I'm eventually going to build the thing in front of your door. And it's going to be this massive house that's in front of your door. You can be like, oh, what is this? But like, this is the thing I wanted to build in front of you. So I say that to say, you can't wait on no one. Do you know what I mean? At all. It's like, I've waited for loads of brands to get back to me. I've waited on, many artists to collaborate with me, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Who's the next one? Cool. Just keep going and keep building. And I've got into a space where I don't give a shit about, people's opinions. I just want to build. I just want to make things happen. I'm focused. I'm determined, and I'll just build the house in front of you, and make you either feel a way about it or make you want to collaborate in the end about it. But it's just not caring, just make enough noise as possible. We have the internet to, make us amplify each time and, build great things. So yeah, just not care and just really just keep going. And, if you're knocking on the door, just literally build the house in front of them that they should have built with you.
I like this audacious spirit of this thing will exist
regardless. You have to, you have to. And I think that's, you got to have strong belief. Like, you may not have people who build it with you, and that's fine. You may not have people who believe in it with you, it's fine. But it's about your belief and how you want to, see yourself in the future. I see many great things about myself in the future. So I've got to kind of stick to that mindset no matter what the trials and tribulations or the obstacles. I just got to have that single-minded things. And things are happening, which is great. Things weren't happening, a few years ago. We had COVID, we had all these things. But it's how do you keep that mentality going to actually build something that's worth it with a lot of no's in between everything else.
Yeah. And if anything that I've learned along the way, and just hearing other creatives in the space, the common theme is that you will get 100 no's, but
Yeah.
it's just that one yes.
Yeah, no's are fun. I
Yeah.
always say no's are fun. And I think probably I shifted my mind to, oh, did they say no? Okay, cool. Who's the next one? Do you know what I mean? And usually it's either who said no, or is this person saying no because they don't know what to do, or who's the person who's actually in position to make this yes happen. And if I find that person who makes the yes happen, then it's nurturing that relationship. Say, okay, cool, this is what we're doing. I know you probably ain't got no budget or anything right now, but come to an event. Do you know what I mean? It's how do you find the yes amongst things? You know what I mean? No's I was listening to a book called Never Split the Difference, and he always says no is always the start of a negotiation. So how do I even get to the no? If it's a no, okay, cool, what else are they thinking about? What else are you guys working on? And then finding those pockets, and usually there's something in it. Like we've worked with many brands who said no in the first place. Okay, cool. Do you want to come to an event? Oh, this event's cool. You know, we can send you drinks or we can send you something. So it's like finding those mini wins amongst those no's is always a good thing.
So as well as building in front of the door, you can also find back doors.
Yeah, there's always a way in. There's always a way in. You know what I mean? No matter what.
And so what do brands need to unlearn if they want to work with communities authentically?
Don't be distant with the communities. Do you know what I mean? Be involved. I speak to many, brand marketers who are always involved. There's a few people at Nike that I speak to who are, going to Nigeria, being a part of the community, investing in the culture. You have a few people from Nike who's purchased works for like Gabriel Moses and the Swans and stuff. Like they're very involved. So being a part of the communities rather than, we just want to work with this community because it helps our quota. Do you know what I mean? I think that's where they, miss the step and it just looks inauthentic. So yeah.
That's great advice. And finally, what's next for you and for Art Meets Culture?
Many things. But I think with Art Meets Culture, we just want to be the best. We want to have bigger events. London is our home where we do great things, but, we want to, and we will actually do, stuff in New York, Nigeria, the UAE, all these key places that we've built strong connections and relationships with. And we're looking to expand in these areas. But London's always been the home and the hub. But we realized through COVID and Clubhouse that our community is huge in South Africa, huge in Nigeria. It's just like, okay, cool. We've templatized everything. Now we're going to these different regions to actually expand and do these things. And many brands, who align with us want to be involved in these things. So that is the focus in terms of making this more of a global brand rather than a domestic brand, so to speak. So we just want to keep, thinking bigger and making sure these things happen.
Sounds brilliant. And always looking forward to seeing your trajectory and all the things that you achieve. So before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests about values. So a value that they hold for their personal life and a value that they hold for their professional life. So it could be one word, it could be a sentence, it could be a paragraph. So let's start with your professional.
So the word that comes to mind is belief. I think, in this day and age, it's very easy to not believe. It's so easy based on the content you consume. You may think people are doing this and you're there and then you're there, and it's like so many things. But I think throughout all this ups and downs, I think belief is the one thing that comes to mind because, doing Art Meets Culture for 10 plus years and making zero money up until now, where we're probably making serious money. It's like it's taken that long. Nobody would do that 10-year run thinking, why are you doing this brand? Some brands go from, 0 to $1 million within year one. We haven't done that, but now we're making the money that we aim to make. So having that, belief is the key thing through any, trajectory of life.
And for your personal life?
Personal life, family. I think that's one for me. I got my amazing partner, amazing daughter, and I think they keep me grounded in every aspect of my life. Do you know, maybe because they're two girls. So there's a lot of, calm in the situation, being around that energy. So family is always one. And I've got my brothers, that's well, as me being an older brother, you know, just watching them develop in their space and stuff like that, and just advising them as they grow, because I've been through my side of things, and obviously my parents as well, getting that, you know, that advice, that guidance from them, and that faith, you know, is always a key thing. So yeah, family is always one, because I have different elements around it.
Brilliant. Belief and family. That's a really nice place to leave us. And so before you go, if people want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
They can find me on artmeetsculture.com, at artmeetsculture on Instagram, Sanusi the First on Instagram. We are on TikTok, artmeetsculture on TikTok, but that's building right now, so everybody can come check that out. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming down. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yes.
And guys, if you want to follow the Black Circle's journey, you can find us on YouTube on the Black Circle Podcast, or on Instagram, the blackcircle.podcast. We're also on TikTok on the Black Circle Podcast. Thank you guys. Bye.